very special guest, my homegirl, Miss Scarlet Estelle Hernandez. Say what's up to the people.
How y'all doing? Excited to be here.
All right, so we gonna do something different real quick because you requested something that not some people requested. We do this off the record, but can you dap me up, real quick? You know what I'm saying?
Bing
All
bong.
right, there we go. Okay, so let's just get right into it. How are you doing first and foremost?
Man, I'm doing so good. It's really hard, especially, to have a bad day when you wake up. Like
Absolutely.
there's so many people that don't get to do that. So anytime you wake up and you're doing something you love, it's hard not to be grateful. So we're doing good. How are you?
No, I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I have you on the HolloTalk podcast, so
I
I,
know,
I
like
can't I
we're
can't be
winning. What
doing
are we
better.
talking about?
Exactly. Exactly. All right, so let's get right into it. So for the people who don't know who you are, can you let them know who you are, what you're about, and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Scarlet Estelle Hernandez. First and foremost, I'm a first generation Dominican. I feel like that's super important. You already know to talk about because, everything I do is based off of like the sacrifices my parents made to get here to this country. So first generation Dominican. I've been working in the music industry since I was 15. I was the voice of Dora the Explorer on the radio, and that got me into
What?
doing more radio shows in Jersey. I came to Philly for college where I went to UArts. I studied music business, entrepreneurship, and technology. Um, and from there, I was able to, just learn a ton about what, this city, Philly specifically, has to offer. And through a line of events and beautiful consequences, I got to meet the team at Rec
Mm-hmm.
7.5 years ago, over 7.5 years ago now, and have been the membership director for Rec for as long as I've been a part of it. So that's my journey here. But even as part of Rec, a lot of people are like, yo, that's the career, like that's where you cap. But being a part of the Rec team has developed me in such ways that even outside of Rec, I'm now a Philadelphia Grammy chapter member. So I'm able to be of service in my community that way, as well as an artist manager. So when members ask me, or artists ask me, how do I do X, Y, Z? I'm able to walk the walk and talk the talk because I'm also
Right.
doing it too as an independent manager and promoter and all that good stuff. So that's me. And I
Okay.
love all types of music. So everything from, Tower of Power to Shaka Khan to Common to Fall Out Boy. I'm in the mix.
I respect it 100%. We gonna get into some music, but let's just get into this first question because you basically just introduced the question that I was gonna ask, but I'll articulate it
Perfect.
the same way, right? So with your experience in the multitude of creative arts, how does that translate into what you do at Rec Philly?
Yo, before anything, when you're working with customers is hard,
Right.
right? When you have a business with customers, when your customers are artists, before they give you any money, the currency that you got to trade is respect and trust.
Absolutely.
So I love being a part of the scene and being able to service the scene in that way because what I do best is being emotionally intelligent. People ask all the time, like, yo, what's the number one skill I should have? Is it emails? Is it LinkedIn? And I was like, no, like, can you find people where they're at and be a good listener and separate your own ego and your own self
Right.
from a situation to be able to serve people correctly. So I've met a ton of managers that want to be more famous than the artists they they manage, So and I take a lot of that, ego displacement and unlearning of that into what I do. So biggest skill and where I'm at is, being a good listener
Mm-hmm.
and asking good questions. So maybe I'm not as versed in curating a gallery as I am booking a show.
Right.
But you're sure as hell I'm going to do my research, as you understand, as
Mm-hmm.
a professional podcaster,
Absolutely.
and B, ask good questions and not be scared to ask those questions.
No, that's a fact. So I want to run something back real quick because I don't know if you remember this, but when I first came to Rec, you were the absolute first person I met when I walked through
Uh,
the when I
yeah,
walked through. You
that's
know,
the usual Steves, right?
so just to kind of like get that story like for the viewers and the listeners, like you basically set the tone for me when I came into Rec Philly for the first time, talking to you, having a dope conversation, learning about what Rec Philly is through you and Sly too. He was the second person I met. He had took
No,
me on a
Sly's a
tour
guy.
actually. Shouts out to my guy Sly. And for that, I was like, oh, every time I like come through Rec Philly, like I gotta see Scarlet for sure.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. And I don't take that lightly. We have members that have been with us since the warehouse days,
Right.
maybe joined when they were freshly 18, who are now like grown ass people, like 21, 22. And it's really beautiful being someone that can set the tone like that
Right.
and also protect the community right from up front. I'm like a vibe bouncer. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
let's make sure that everybody's correct and coming in good. Because really, when you're in an artistic space, you pass those doors at rec, and there are people making art about their best days, their worst days, their biggest traumas, their biggest triumphs, and being able to be someone that is excited to see them, um, is something that I take a lot of pride in.
No, absolutely. And that's something that I myself see a lot when I come through Rec Philly. I'm always at Rec Philly. You see me all the
Yeah.
time. So when I come through and I see all the different faces and all the different personalities, it's infectious in a way where you want to be a part of the community. You want to talk to the people. You want to
Yeah.
let people know what you do, who you're about, and what
Yeah.
you do.
You're in a building, a 10,000 square foot, 12 studio space
Mm-hmm.
full of people who you have something in common with. Like that, as humans, like no matter what we do or say or want, like it is integral in us to find connection through community.
Absolutely.
That's literally why we yawn together. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
when you're in a space together where you can turn to your left and your right, and there's that red line, that goes through everybody, it just makes us feel like a community and act like a community and support each other like a community.
That's exactly what it is again, and you led me back to my next question. So,
We're good
so
at
no,
go.
listen. You know what I'm saying? We got that up again. Ah.
Ding dong.
so, so my question is, how has your experience been with the Rec Philly community, and also how important is it for you to play one of the most important roles in helping that Rec Philly community
Oh
expand?
my God. Like I said, I don't take it lightly. And even when you talk about expansion, I'm going to talk about three phases of expansion right
Okay.
now. The first was the second we got our first member. I remember I had a whiteboard, and at the end of every day, I would wipe that number off and update it
Who
because
was
my
the
goal
first
was 100.
member?
Oh my God, it has to be probably Riley Polis of HBC.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have people who have like the original like door cards that don't do anything, that just say like free thinkers program. But I will have to look that up, but like
Okay.
about 50 of those first members are still members today. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like they were people who understood the vision and wanted to develop it with us.
Right.
But with that first part of expansion, like getting those first 100 members was like a huge celebratory action because we were on the fourth floor of a warehouse on Ninth and Dolphin.
Mm-hmm.
Like anybody who came here and trusted us with their vision, like was family.
Real
So
talk.
it was about becoming very ingrained in their day to day from the get go, because that made me learn how members want to be talked to,
Mm-hmm.
what's new about rec, and like how can I put my own spin on it. So that's phase one of expansion, right? Phase two was when we came from the warehouse to then a mall.
Mm-hmm.
Now we went from one studio and one visual lab to 12 of them. So understanding the new subject of community that we're able to serve. So we went from having, 500, 600 members to now over 1,000
Right.
for this. So it was about making sure that I kept up with these 1,000 the same way I kept up with those first 100. That was very important to me. And now the next phase of that is with everything I've learned from the past two eras, our expansion to Miami, right? And
Mm-hmm.
as a Latina, like, how am I taking all the learnings, all the maturity, and everything that's next, and bringing it to Miami, in a way where I am only a student when it comes to community and understanding what they need down there and how it can be a service to them.
Okay, actually, speaking of the Miami expansion, because I'm pretty sure people know like a little bit about it, but you guys would know more about it since y'all are a part of the rec team. So if you could
Yeah.
give us some insight on what that expansion looks like and what that entails, please do.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's even kick it back for those who are just learning about REC right now.
Okay.
So REC stands for Resources for Every Creator.
Mm-hmm.
We are in a community-led creative agency. So we have this big, beautiful space, 12 studios, everything from recording studios, photography, podcasting, a dance studio, co-working, rehearsal space, event space, all in one spot where you become a member. And unlike your usual studio experience where you got to call 30 people, see what
Mm-hmm.
times and dates they got. You get an app and you get credits to book the space with.
Right.
So that's really been our model and really our bread and butter. And then when it comes to the expansion, right now we only have the Philadelphia location. We're located at 9th and Market, right above the Burlington in the Fashion
Mm-hmm.
District. It's still the gallery to me. Don't let
That's a
anybody tell you
fact.
otherwise.
That's a
But I gotta say,
fact.
because I was going to the gallery back when it was like brown and yellow and had
Mm-hmm.
an FYE in front of the KFC. Like that was those were hallowed grounds.
Real talk.
Um, but now with the expansion, thanks to P. Diddy, we'll be expanding to Miami. And we'll be opening up a 16 studio, 2 floor,
Wow.
backyard concert venue and space in the heart of Little Haiti, Miami.
Mm. Oh
And
man.
that'll be, fingers crossed, December of this year open for Art Basel.
Oh wow. Oh, I gotta come. That you listen,
Oh,
let them
period.
know.
Yeah, you're down there.
I'm
Yep.
coming for sure. Somebody gotta
It'll be
cover
really
the
fun.
event. Why not it be Jetpack Nick of the HolloTalk podcast, right?
Like, what are we talking about? Like,
No,
yeah, so
for
I'll send you
sure.
deets once that's rocking.
Okay, cool. So, let's just focus more on the Miami thing because I was curious to know because I knew I
Yeah.
was going to be talking to you today, and I wanted to know with that transition, what is your role going to be looking like transitioning from Rec Philly to Rec Miami? Is it the same? Is it
Yeah.
different?
I am going to be my sister's and my brother's keepers. Like, I'm going to be setting the tone for the staff and the jobs that we'll be creating down there. Like,
Okay.
it's going to be up to me and the team to find the Scarlet of Miami, the Will Toms of Miami, the Dave Silver of Miami, the everybody on our team of Miami, and be able to train them. I still see myself being the membership director and being that person that you can turn to, talk to. If this is like a gym for artists, quote and
Right.
unquote, I'm your personal trainer. I'm still here, forward facing. I've been allotted a lot more opportunities with being a talent host for the
Mm-hmm.
panels. So I definitely see myself growing in that capacity and being able to hold it down in Miami or Philly while, Will does his thing and isn't able to be at 2 places at once. So I see my role as setting the tone and being a student of what the community over there needs. So research and development, so that way I can kick it up to the execs and be like, here's
Mm-hmm.
some changes and here's some feedback that we have, and ways that we can make this better for everyone.
No, so from what you just said, it sounds like you're going to be taking on a bigger role in a new
Yeah,
environment for you.
yeah.
It sounds dope though, honestly. Just me listening to you say it and just seeing the excitement that you're exuding as you're saying
Yeah, I
it.
mean the plate you can look at your plate 2 ways, right? You can look at that your plate's overflowing, you had a broccoli just fall off, like you're freaking out, it's too full, or you can look at the plate getting bigger,
For sure.
right? And allowing that abundance and that learning and everything to come with it. So that's the way I got to look at it because nobody's died from a stressful job yet. You know what I'm saying? Like no matter how stressed you are, no matter how much your imposter syndrome is telling you like nobody's vanished or combusted into flames because
Hmm.
they've done something they haven't done for the first time. So because I know I have a team and a community who is going to allow me to be human and learn, and be a guest in this community until I really put myself in it. That's what I'm excited about. So that's why it's hard not to be excited because I keep telling everybody, yo, the second I stop learning, I'm done with the game.
Yeah.
Like pull me out. Or the second I start being jaded, and not excited, pull me out, coach, because nobody wants to deal with Boo Boo the fool up front. Like
No, that's a fact for sure. So you mentioned imposter syndrome, and I know that's something that we've talked about a lot, just like at different panels or different workshops and things of the sorts. But since I got you here, I want to know more about what's your process going through imposter syndrome? Because, like on face value, I see you and you seem like you got it all figured out. Like every room you step in, you got like you got the same energy, is really high, it's infectious, and the whole nine, right? But I'm not naive to the fact that even with that, there is that underlying layer of
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do this, or that imposter syndrome.
Always, always. Look, I fought with it for so much through depression, through anxiety, through college, and high school. But and a lot of that stemmed from being scared to be me because I didn't see a lot of people like me,
Right.
plus size, queer, like loud ass Latinas, working in like rock and like alternative spaces.
Mm-hmm.
That just wasn't seen. But the older I get and the more successes that, God, has really like afforded me, I get to be who I didn't see.
Gotcha.
So it's like, yo, if someone was my age that looked like me and felt like me, if I had someone like that, I feel like things would be a lot different. I feel like I would have been faster, stronger, more confident earlier. So I gotta do that now so that way I can look back and mentor people, Sankofa style, where it's like, yo, let me
Mm-hmm.
let me reap what I sow and then let me give it back. So a lot of imposter syndrome gets fought through cognitive therapy, because really it's just repeating thought patterns.
Yeah.
And we get to really, and I'm gonna get real Joe Rogan-y up in here, but like fighting our mental stimulus,
Mm-hmm.
because it's easy to talk bad about yourself, to talk
Yeah.
down about yourself, and then believe it because it's just you saying it. So you beat that by faking it till you make it. Like I thought fake it till you make it was an annoying ass term until I really understood what it meant. And
Mm-hmm.
really it meant fake the pattern till the pattern becomes real.
Yes.
So that's how I fight through a lot of imposter syndrome.
Okay, because for me, like this is a conversation that I like to have with anybody that comes on the HolloTalk podcast. What you
Yeah,
you can be from any discipline, because I know that in any discipline, this is a shared feeling, this is a shared emotion, a shared thought process. So
absolutely.
so like for me, right? I think that I have imposter syndrome in the sense of like right before I enter that room that I'm going in.
Mm-hmm.
Then once I get in that room, imposter syndrome goes away because if I wasn't meant to be in that room, I wouldn't be
Wouldn't
there.
be.
So that
Period.
so there's no reason for me to feel like, oh my God, like what am I doing here? Like I'm not supposed to be here. All that shit goes out the window. But before I step in that room, I'm nervous.
No, and that's fine because what's crazy, and I'm really that really lands with me because something my therapist said, everybody go to therapy first and
Yes,
foremost.
yes,
Something my therapist said is anxiety and excitement feels the same.
it does.
Nerves and being excited, they're the same thing. So whenever I want to beat myself up for being nervous, I'm like, no, it's because I'm excited. It's because I
Mm-hmm.
care. And what I really liked about what you said is about acknowledging that you feel that way, but being present enough to enjoy once you're in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Because the brain likes to tell you how it feels, but you got to tell the brain what's fact. So
That's a
we
fact.
train our brains in real time to do this for us and with us. And the most successful people understand that they have human emotions, they accept it, and then they find ways to build around it or beyond it.
No, that's a fact. And no, to give you guys credit at Rec Philly, like without y'all, I don't think that would be something that I would have been able to do as fast as I've done it because of the
That's
fact that
awesome.
it's so many different creatives that walk through these doors, like so many people who have accomplished so many fantastic things and things that you might want to accomplish yourself, and they're like literally accessible to you. And then you guys, bring so many different people from different elks and walks of life now that come in and they're accessible, like the event for tomorrow, right? For example, I do a podcast. One of my main goals is to get on a major podcast network. Revolt is coming
Like
through.
Revolt.
Exactly. Shouts out to Revolt. Let me get on the podcast network. But like even something like that, right? For me, it's like, all right, shit, like this is the moment I've been waiting for my whole life. I've been doing the podcast or this particular podcast for
Yeah.
3 years. I've been potting for 5 or 6 years. Now I'm about to be in front of somebody that can possibly get me to a
Yeah,
level that I wanted to go to. I'm nervous, but then once I walk in that room and I'm around you, I'm around Will, Dave, and all these wonderful other creatives, it's like, oh, I'm supposed to be here. Like
dude.
I'm meant
The
to be
amount,
here.
like 100%, and like the amount of imposter syndrome that we've all gone through as a team.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm sure Dave felt and Will felt some type of way when they're showing visions and grand gestures of like having their own space and but walking through a warehouse with
Right.
no ceiling and no heat. Like it's January 26th. 4 years ago, we were sitting in one office, huddled up, sharing one space heater because if we plugged another one up, it was gonna short the circuit and we wouldn't have studios and like working in our like winter jackets and gloves,
For sure.
sending out $1 million proposals, $1,000, 100,000 to collect this community to make us move forward. And if we had given in to imposter syndrome, like it would have been Dunskies before it even
Mm-hmm.
started. So please, yeah, look to us as a bunch of fucking nerds that were able to come together and hype each other up enough to get this done.
No, that's a fact, and for you guys to have that persistence and have that motivation to continue on, that I think that sets a precedent for everybody else that walks through these doors, and that will continue to
Yeah.
walk through the doors as as rec expands into different markets. Like it's so many different people who think alike, so many different creatives, so many people going
Yeah.
through the same emotions, same feelings. Like it's how many people on the world is it? About 8 billion, and it's been plenty
Yeah.
of billions more. There's not a new feeling that I can experience that these other 8 billion people haven't already experienced
I've
or
already
these
done. Yeah.
right. So it's just like, why would I short myself an opportunity to be all that I can be when we're all feeling the same way in
A
some
hundred
kind of
percent.
capacity?
I
And
completely attest with that.
so just saying all that to say, I'm saying that you all serve as an inspiration not only to me but to all of the people that you come into contact with, and for
Thank you
that
so
I'll
much.
say it for all of us, we are grateful for you guys having that space and providing those opportunities for us to come and be all that we can be in our creative disciplines.
Thank you. I really appreciate that because, we'll talk about you specifically, giving yourself that permission to be with people and be a vessel for that information and for deep conversations and connection.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what humans want. So again, if us, a bunch of nerds that just happen to get cute and get some stuff done, like that, amen. And that can be anybody. And I know that I can speak for Will Toms when that's the dream,
Mm-hmm.
like Will Toms was living in that warehouse, don't
Yeah.
tell nobody, don't bring the ops out, but like, so people see him now and they're like, oh my God, he's Mr. Big Shot. I was like, this dude was, sleeping on a couch with a leaky roof.
Right.
He's allowed to do this and enjoy and be present of these opportunities. So we work really hard, and we also party really hard, and we
For
also
sure.
party really hard together. Like we'll have like a full day of like office time, which we usually get here around 9:30, end around
Mm-hmm.
7, 8, 9, 10, and then we still go out with each other.
Yeah.
Because people see we're a real company, which is crazy, but we were just a bunch of best friends that like were roommates and neighbors, and we just happened to bring everything that we're good at and brought it together. So if we can do it, anybody can do it.
No, that's a fact, and I'm glad you guys did it because it gave me an opportunity to meet so many different people and have you on this platform.
Thank
So
you.
shouts
I
out to
appreciate
y'all
it.
for that. So let me ask you this question because I'm curious, and I always like to ask like direct members these questions. I ask y'all in person, but since I got you on the podcast, I'll ask you now, right? So how
Hmm.
has your experience with the Rec Philly community been?
Oh my God. I mean, again, I learned so much, and that's my favorite
Hmm.
part of it. Y'all are funny as hell. And like, y'all really make me feel like a VIP, and I really appreciate that love right back. Like I said, there's members who will literally like come straight to Rec to give me good news because there
Hmm.
was a job interview they were nervous for and they got it and they want to celebrate with us. My experience with the community has been absolutely life changing. I've met so many different people from so many different walks of life, And again, like my job as a community leader and as a community pillar, because we're all community leaders, I'm a
For
pillar
sure.
of it, is being a vessel for information and knowledge. So I always tell people, I was like, please ask me questions, because if y'all didn't have questions, I wouldn't have a job. um, and I love to learn. And I think that the most powerful words that a community leader can say sometimes is, I don't know, but I want to find out with
Hmm.
you or for you. So my experience has been one of just I'm continuously so not even surprised, because I know we're all exceptional. Like that's like no doubt about it. But I'm continuing to be excited by the community and how it grows, and who the members bring as guests. Because
Hmm.
when you bring a guest, it's very much like your brother, your sister's keeper.
For
Like
sure.
you're bringing them into like a very sacred ground that's like very important to a lot of people. So seeing people bring people that make them their best selves in a special place like this really feels like Disney. So I appreciate the members a lot.
No, that's a fact. So, like, what's like a moment that you've had at Rec that was like so amazing to you that you could share?
I mean, I'm gonna say this one because it's just really surreal. And it was like a Tuesday, and I remember it's a Tuesday. I'm in like my mask, like sweatpants, hair like not done, looking crazy. And I don't know, maybe I was like stressed that morning, whatever. I'm at the front desk, and I see a guy and like a younger guy walking towards me, and I'm like, they're gonna ask what this is. Like I already had to spiel in my head, hi, welcome to Red. And I was like, I'm gonna let them talk to me. I'm head down, typing. And then I hear, hey, and I'm like, okay. I lift my head, it's Jazzy Jeff, being
What?
like, how can I support? Like, how can I buy some of this stuff? And he
Wow.
walked out with like over $500 in like local artist merchandise.
Wow.
And that was a very special moment. Just being like, this is the magic of Philly and this community. We had Questlove on our stage. Like,
Yeah.
that was a
Yeah.
really big moment. Someone I've looked up to for so long. Obviously anytime Tierra Whack is here is like I'm
Shouts
gonna
out to
cry,
Tierra
like
Whack for
that. Like
sure.
I was at one of her first Atlanta shows when there were like three people, and then I was also there when she was at Firefly with the whole crew. So just really exciting. Again, like the most exciting parts are when we revisit people and we see their
Hmm.
progress and growth and successes, and we're able to party together about it.
No, I had to ask that question because like I know, you guys put on so many amazing events. So, I didn't know
Yeah.
if it was like one of those moments where, you was hosting one of the events, or if it was like an interaction that you had with a member of REC or anything like that. But that's a dope story. I didn't know that story actually.
Yeah, no, it's a really cool one. So on a random Tuesday, Jazzy Jeff. Yep.
That's what's up. Shouts
We've
out to
had like
Jeff.
Sixers players and stuff. Like JJ Redick came to film his podcast at Rec with
Did he?
Matisse the day he
What?
announced his retirement. So it was like a huge moment for him to be,
Wow.
recording it here. So but that's the thing, like celebrity, not celebrity, like I'm gonna treat everybody like a human. So it's like it really people love like the name drops and whatever, but like there are so many times where I've cried with members out of happiness. I've been able to be there for some really stressful moments and talk each other out of it. And those are the moments that I remember. So the celebrities, they'll come and go. They're cool. Dr. Umar walking with him through the mall to get him here for an interview. That was always funny. Um, but the moments that I will always remember are moments like this where I get to connect, one on one with a member and
Oh
really feel the
yeah, see?
impact that's going on.
Yeah, see, shouts out to Jetpack Nick, y'all. You know what I'm
You already know.
saying? No, for sure. Look, I appreciate it 110% because, like when I have different people come on, I always try to differentiate what I do from all the other podcasts. Like, you generally have the headline podcast,
Mm-hmm.
men hate women, and all that conversation. But when I bring people on the HolloTalk podcast, it's all about community and connecting and
Yeah.
having open conversations that you might not have anywhere else. And we we try to connect here. It's about building a relationship.
We don't
And
try, we do.
oh yeah, we do. You're right. My fault. My fault. You know what I'm saying? Affirmations. That's what we do on the HolloTalk podcast.
Exactly.
So being that, I have you on the podcast and me being able to big you up and, shed light on who you are and what you're about and what you do, that's important for me to record this as a moment in history and a moment in time because of the fact that when I walked through Direct Philly doors, you was the first person that greeted me. And
Yeah.
and that was what, 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago,
Wow.
something like
Yeah.
that. And I never forgot that moment. Every time I walk through the doors, I'd be excited, be like, oh, my girl Scarlet gonna be at the front door. Like, it's gonna be a good day. And then when I
Love
walk
it.
through, I see you. It's generally a good day. So it's
I love
important for
that.
me
Thank you
to
so
do
much.
that. No, for sure, absolutely. But like I'm just saying it on record because like people show love in private or whatever, but I'm one of the people that show love in private and in public too. So this is
Yeah.
just me taking a couple minutes before we go to our commercial break to just say thank you, Miss Scarlet Estelle Hernandez, for being who
Flowers
you are.
received. Flowers received. Landed. Thank you so much.
And I truly thank you just for taking this opportunity to talk to me and, share your story and let people know who you are and, just be you in your full glory. That's important. And I'm happy that I'm providing a platform and a forum for you to do just that.
Absolutely. Thank you for being so thoughtful.
Absolutely. So with that being said, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back with more of the HolloTalk podcast.
Bing bong.
Bing bong. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the HolloTalk podcast with Jetpack Nick and Miss Scarlet Estelle Hernandez.
Oh, we're here. We're refreshed. We're back.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we just going to jump right into it, right? So I have
Okay.
another question I want to ask you. So I'm curious to know that being around so many different creatives, how does that inspire you to expand your own creative palette?
Yeah. I mean, we can even like pair that with what we talked about last time with imposter syndrome. Like if this is kind of like a gym, like they're gonna be people on the treadmill for the first day. They're gonna be the
Mm,
meatheads that are here all the time. So it always just encourages me to try because I give advice to if someone was like, yo, I'm scared to try something, like what would you say? You gotta do
mm.
it. And if I can't take my own advice, that's always a dub. So I've been painting in the design studio, things that are different for me that I usually wouldn't do. A place like this kind of exemplifies like what it means to be, multifaceted and try different things. So it definitely just inspires me again to take my own advice and do something different. I always tell like a musician or someone who does audio stuff to do something visual and like see what that other world is like. So that's some of the inspiring things.
Okay, because I know you said that music was like your major background, right? So like,
Yeah, yeah.
oh no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, and I was gonna say, and because of that is being able to attest and be able to speak the language of the people that I might not be as versed in. Everybody's gonna start somewhere.
No, for sure. Because like with music being your background, I was curious to know like what was like the new experience or the new creative outlet that was like your thing now. Like what was that thing for you?
I mean, funny enough, it's not even something creative because all I do is creativity 24/7. It's weightlifting. I'm a
Really?
I'm a power lifter. Yeah, so when I'm out of here, I'm at the gym and I do powerlifting.
Wow. I didn't know that. How
I
you get
know.
into
What are some
that?
of your hobbies? I know you're like always doing podcasting, but like what else are you up to? Like what's something that we wouldn't know about you?
uh I would say my acting.
Oh my God. Yes. Wait,
Yeah.
talk to me more. Okay. I'm a musical theater nerd, so fellow thespians.
Yeah, so I actually got my acting background in theater.
Oh, that's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Man.
What's like your dream role?
Uh, damn. I don't know. All right, no, all right. Let me break it down. Let me break it down. So my dream role, I would want it to be directed by Spike Lee for
Oh,
sure.
period. Yes.
I
Whatever.
I want it to be directed by Spike Lee, and I want to play like a how do I want to say like a dramatic role, like because I did a
Yeah.
I did a film last April. Like this was my
Hmm.
first film that I ever did. I was the lead in the film. It was a romantic comedy film. So I think that's like naturally who I am. So
Yes.
that wasn't nothing
It wasn't,
too
it was, yeah, you felt comfortable. You want to be
right.
challenged.
Right. So I want to do like a dramatic role because like when I act like my alter ego, I call it Nick Zell Washington.
Yeah. No, it's that's what actors do. They compartmentalize and they bring out what they want to be or be 24/7. Yeah.
No, so like I want to do a dramatic role like where I would see Denzel, he be in the middle of the room or
Hmm.
he'll be talking to somebody and he'll just, start accentuating the situation and,
Yeah.
make it bigger than it is. Like I want to do something like that where I'm just yelling at people and shit. Like
Yeah. Just get a little rage out. That's awesome. Yeah, that's really
I
cool.
think that would be cool for me to like uh expand or like flex my acting chops in that way just off the strength of doing something that I haven't done before in a in
Yes,
a in a film setting because like I've done it in theater but I think it's a little bit different when you do it on film and in that kind of setting, so I would
a
definitely love
hundred
to try it
percent.
there. So Spike Lee, holla at your boy, man.
Yeah, he's right here. But how do you think like your interest in acting have like positively affected your experience with being a podcaster? Like there's like some skills that translate or that you're building with, doing these conversations.
So okay, so for sure I would definitely answer this question. So I think uh my ability to be able to talk to different people who come
Mm,
from different facets of life, I think that translates really really well when you're doing acting, whether that's of the theater variety or of the film variety.
mhm,
um Being able to understand the different concepts of how people think or
mm,
what makes people tick or or just the level of understanding of people in general, let alone anything else specific. Also, when it comes to the technology of things, I'm on camera. Obviously,
yes.
film is on camera, so you learn about the background of that aspect and how that works, and for like a script or something like that, right? Like I have talking points that I usually write for each episode or
Mhm.
most of my episodes, right? That kind of goes into the idea of script writing, being able to convey your thoughts in a proper way and be able to
And
execute it.
storytell.
Exactly. Like this is a story that we're telling, right? Everybody's life
Absolutely.
is a story. So being able to convey that, being able to say it in a way in which people may be able to understand or makes people feel comfortable to express or receive. All of those things are similar to what I do or what I've done so far in film and theater.
I love that so much. Have you had other actors on the show?
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
love
actually
that.
I actually had the director of the movie that I was in. She's a
Oh,
really, really good friend of
amazing.
mine. And I also had my co-star on the podcast too.
All the tea from the set.
Yeah, for sure. So I like the people who've listened to the podcast, like they know like the story about the movie. So the movie had a kissing scene in it.
Hmm.
So this is my first film, like first film period. I got the lead role, which is already pressure, and then I got to do a kissing scene too. Like that shit was crazy, but it was fun though. Like I think that everybody on that set like just made me feel welcome, made me feel at
I
home, and
love
just
that.
made the whole experience a phenomenal one for me. And it's definitely something that I see myself doing more of. Hopefully, given the
Yeah,
opportunities to do more, I would definitely love to continue that.
I love that so much. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love acting in musical theater, but I bombed my high school theater club audition so bad. But
How?
that same day, I was nervous. I was like high school versus like
I got
middle
you.
school theater, very different when you're like seniors watching you. But
Yeah.
because I bombed that audition, I had stuck around after school and learned about the radio club.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like one door shut and another one busted right open, to be able to let me try other avenues of still, putting my voice to things,
Right.
which is my background in being a voiceover actor, for Dora the Explorer on the radio, Las Aventuras
Mhm.
de Leti. So
Uh,
I love how all the skills that I keep, producing in that way, have helped everything I'm doing too. So that was awesome.
yeah. And another thing too, you probably don't know about this neither. And not too many people know about this. I've only said it like a few times on the podcast on episodes that
What's the
haven't came
tea?
out
What's
yet.
the tea? Yeah.
But I'm a music enthusiast. Like this is my thing. This is what I do, right? I love music wholeheartedly.
Mhm.
So I had a mixtape like associated with the podcast where I had a bunch of musicians that came on the podcast. I had made a compilation tape called the HolloTalk and just like put some of their songs on so that way you can cross the their
Hear it.
audiences and
See
right.
them. Yeah.
Right. So I'm coming out with a second one for this season of the HolloTalk podcast, right? But the difference is this time you're gonna hear songs from Jetpack Nick.
Yes. The fact that you didn't do it before, but yes, you are the leader of this journey. Absolutely.
For sure.
That's so exciting. I love that.
Yeah, it's been dope. Like like how we all do. We all listen to music and we'll fuck around and start rapping or singing over our favorite songs or whatever. So what I did was I was doing that one day and I was like, what if I actually start writing this down? So I
Yeah.
wrote it down and I fleshed out a few different verses that I had. And lucky for
Let's
me, I
go.
got some really, really good close friends who make beats. So, you know, we put something together and y'all
I
will
love
hear it
that.
on Hollow Tape too
Let's
whenever it comes out.
go. TBD.
Yeah, whenever it comes out, I don't want to give people a date because I don't have one.
Fair enough.
Just recording the podcast is time consuming enough, and we've definitely
Absolutely.
been on a roll. This is the fifth season of the Hollow Talk podcast, so
Wow, congratulations.
yeah, thank you. And again, I'm glad to have you on. You are a part of
Yeah,
my
no,
journey.
thank you. Yes, it is a pleasure.
No, for sure. Yeah, so like those are some of the things that I do outside of the podcast, but I guess it's kind of in conjunction with the podcast too in a way. But
Yeah,
yeah.
but let's you separate your mind and work it creatively in other ways. But yeah, that's really cool to hear. Yeah, I'm definitely a little theater nerd too.
No, for sure. So I want to know more about your music background. Like you've been in music since you were 15, you said, right?
Yeah, working behind the scenes. Yeah,
Okay.
I grew up, doing choir, the whole
Really?
thing. But when I got into music professionally, it was behind the scenes, and that started super early.
Doing what specifically?
So 15 was when I started doing voiceover acting.
Oh, that's okay.
Yep.
Okay, got
And then that led into being part of the radio club, and then I had two radio shows a day for 4 hours,
you. Wow.
for 4 years, Monday through Friday, and I also had a morning show. So I was one of the small amount of dorks that really liked it, and I was able to get a lot of really great experience. I had interviewed The Dream,
Really?
Big Sean when he was first on the 12 Disciples on
Wow.
BET, um, All Time Low, Jesse McCartney, like, um,
Damn.
there's that gentleman who wrote the book with Kanye West, Thank You and You're Welcome. He came through 90.3, and we were able to interview him. Bula, there was just so many cool folks, and it was really my mentor, LaRon Lee, who is this dope ass black dude who like looked at me and was like, "You're weird. You're gonna get a lot of at this."
Shouts out to
And
Laurent Lee.
yo, LaRon forever. And LaRon is a very talented filmmaker. He made this documentary called Newark Swim Club. So
Okay.
everybody go check it out about I think it's like the all black swim crew out of
Mm-hmm.
Newark, New Jersey, represent.
For sure.
But having someone like that be so open to Because it's like he was like what, like 24, 25, like high
Mm-hmm.
schooler. So he wasn't that far off, but like mature enough to be like, hey, like high school's gonna get weird, but like the least we can do is spend this time together and foster that. So he had a lot of connections that he made sure that he spent with us. And that kindness is always what makes me go. So and I've kept that, you know, every
Yeah.
interview I shout out Laurent because it really wouldn't be I wouldn't be anywhere in music without him.
Okay. Okay. So do you have any like future plans that you want to do involving music?
Yeah, so I manage an artist. So again, everything I do is really behind the scenes.
Okay.
And when it comes to releases and rollout, Max Swan, he's, you know, one of my closest friends. But I started out as a fan. He put out an album. I had no clue who he was, but I was listening to this album twice a day, and it got to the point where I was like, I need to meet this, you know, MFer, because it's like I would go to shows and like not introduce myself because I was like, yo, the music is so good. If I find out that he's an asshole, I'm gonna be so upset.
Right.
Um, so putting a lot of my care into just the strategy behind that. But you know, I'm always like at like, you know, small jam sessions, you know, lending my voice stuff
Mm-hmm.
to maybe ad libs and stuff like that. But I know that when you work in creativity and music, when you do it for yourself, it's such a sacred little place for you.
Yeah.
So I sing all the time at home, I dance, but it's something that is for me to keep
Mm-hmm.
and then to enjoy with others when ready.
No, that's a fact for sure. All right, so look, I got two more questions for you, two more
Yes.
talking points, if you will, right? Because I know I got to get you out of here real, real soon. So the first one is, what advice would you give to any creative that would help them reach success in their respective creative discipline?
Wow. Killer kindness. I think it's really hard as a creative, and I'm a recovering people pleaser. I think that we tend to feel like we need to say yes to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And while that is true, anything that you say yes to that doesn't serve you is a disservice to yourself and whatever opportunity you
Absolutely.
do. So, and killer kindness to me means being able to say no and not feeling like you have to over explain yourself or feel bad, but you know, giving no, knowing that it's not going to serve you and the person. I feel like sometimes, again, people say yes to things and it's just like not a good mix, and then nobody has a great time, and then they feel like they were represented in the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
So killer kindness, being able to say no and say yes with a smile. um let's see, practice emotional intelligence. We
Yes.
talked a ton about that at the top. But that's also just, you know, when you remove your ego, like what is your goal. And when you practice emotional intelligence, you become a better artist, a better business partner, a better
Mm-hmm.
business runner. So I really do think that practicing emotional intelligence, there's a really good book. It's based on a Japanese proverb. It's called The Courage to Be Disliked.
Okay.
And it's really about, you know, where are you sitting in this universe of people? And what are you doing towards emotional intelligence, you know, with your relationships? And then, oof, number three, what do we want to tell the people? There's so much I want to tell them. So have women on your team.
Yeah, that's a fact for
I
sure.
think
That's
sorry,
a
there was like out of
fact.
everything, I think that that's something so um it's just different, you know, to have to talk about it, but it's like women scientifically, I'm gonna get real Joe Rogan again. Women scientifically have a better ear. So if you don't have a woman on your team, and I'm not just talking a girl that you find attractive, because if
Mm,
you only respect women you find attractive, you don't respect women.
that's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? So, excuse me, having a woman on your team, and that doesn't even mean like everything from the producer to the engineer to the social media strategist. Women and just non-males in general lend such a loving and caring voice and expertise to anything that's being done. So I think always look to include women in what you do, and you're going
Hmm.
to be a lot better off when you do.
That's a fact. Shouts out to the women on the HolloTalk podcast
You
team.
already
Appreciate you.
know. Yes. Shout out. It's the
All right.
emotional labor for me because,
You
you know, as
already.
women, we care and we're going to care all the way
Hmm.
through about whatever we do. So it's always a
Hmm.
blessing.
Oh, so it's actually interesting that you bring that part up, and I'm pretty sure like you answered this in some kind of way as we went through the conversation. But I'll ask the proper question anyway, just to see if you
Yeah.
have a specific answer for it. So, in a business where you deal with people daily, what do you do to stay motivated and combat creative burnout?
Yeah. Again, being able to say no to things that sometimes don't serve me.
Hmm.
Um, and finding that time. I have my boyfriend and I have been together for 10 years. Like
Hmm.
he knew me before rec and he's seen my rise through everything. But having someone that brings you back to humanity and reality, like I'll come back from the Grammy celebration. It's like, yay, babe, that's awesome. But are you taking out the trash? Like so it's like having someone that holds you accountable, and
Yeah,
that can be a partner, a best friend, a sibling, a parent. Make sure that you are spending intentional time with them, and find people that you don't talk about work with,
that's a
especially
fact.
when we love what we do. We don't notice when we're getting burnt out, and I think that that's
Hmm.
even more dangerous. So find the people that just want to talk about anime, bowling, karaoke, and will bring you and humble you and bring you back to the humanity. Because when you work in entertainment, like everything's really high
Yes,
level,
very, very
and
fast.
having someone that just grounds you and brings your heartbeat down, and is able to match that tempo. And that's my parents, that's my
Hmm.
partner, those are my friends who don't work in music. And it's like, Scarlet, I don't know what you're talking about, but this pizza is about to be ready. Like that's what really brings me back. And being intentional about that time
Yes.
is incredibly important to avoiding burnout.
Okay. All right. Well, listen. I can't thank you enough for talking to me on the Hollow Talk
Please,
podcast.
thank you. And what advice would you give people to combat that creative burnout?
Hmm. Give yourself some rest, I would
Mm,
say. All right, so I'll tell you a quick story real quick because this is something that like I'm in the process of becoming better at, and I think I've became
yes, be
better at it.
vulnerable. Yes, it's only us two and
No, that's
everybody else.
a fact. That's a fact. No, but I think this is something that I've become better at over like the last 3 or so years. Um, like when I graduated from college, like I didn't know necessarily what I was gonna do with myself
Mm,
when I got
yeah,
out. And once I came back home, I basically hit the ground running. Like
yeah,
I was I gotta find a way to be successful by tomorrow. Like and I just was, pedal to the metal, traveling to different places, talking to people all day, every day,
yeah.
just trying to figure out how
That
I can
youthful
reach that.
energy that we
Right.
had at like 21.
Right. Just trying to figure out how to like reach that level of success, not giving myself the opportunity to rest a little bit and to be able to see the full scope of whatever it is I was chasing.
And to reflect, right? Like when
Right.
good things happen, we're like, okay, good things happen. But when bad things happen, we ruminate on it forever.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, I really love what you said there, because it's like, yo, taking the time to celebrate. And that comes through rest and reflection. So
Hmm.
that a word.
No, for sure. And like that's something that like I think I'm still working towards it because you have like this thing where you have a battle, an internal battle, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
between being
Hustle and
right,
everything else. Yeah.
like being able to enjoy the process versus being like, well, what the fuck is taking so long? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got to kind of be okay with just going through that process. Like, as long as you're progressing towards it, whatever happens, through that process of progression, it's going to happen. If the only
Yeah.
problem I would see is if you weren't progressing or taking steps to achieve that goal. Now, if it happens in tomorrow, the next day from now, or whatever, that's up to, a higher power that we can't talk to an
Absolutely.
answer to right away. But that's I think that's something that I've allowed myself to do more so over like the last few years or so, because of the fact that I have a good team around me. I talk to so many wonderful people on a regular basis, and I see myself creeping closer to those goals that I have
Yeah.
set for myself, and I know I'm on the verge of breaking through to achieving all the success that I've envisioned for myself since I was a kid. So
Yeah.
that keeps me going, and that keeps the creative burnout to a minimum as much as it possibly can be.
Yeah. That's awesome. You're already doing it. And I
For
really thank you
sure.
for everything that you do. And again, the thoughtfulness and care that you take into all these conversations and to make people feel comfortable.
Yeah.
This was a really great talk.
For sure. So this is customary to the HolloTalk podcast, and like you kind of sort of did it, but I don't know if you have three more gems to give to the people. But if you could provide the people with three gems to take away from the conversation,
Yeah,
please
dude,
do.
don't be a dick. Like, just period, just don't be a dick. Ask questions, I think, and encourage people to ask questions.
Yes,
Nick is
yes.
always awesome at making people feel comfortable because asking questions isn't stupid. It's probably the
Hmm.
smartest thing that you can do.
Absolutely.
And three, find your higher power, whether that's rest meditation, whether that's faith, whether that's church. Um, find what grounds you, and also find what amplifies you and makes you feel spirited. Because we're young till we die.
Yeah.
There's no shot clock behind us. That's what society and capitalism wants us to think. But we are so honored and blessed to be here and to wake
Yes.
up, because a ton of people are going to go to bed tonight and not wake up tomorrow. And every morning that you wake up, you have a new opportunity to change your life and change other people's lives. So be kind to yourself and to others. And that's all I got for y'all.
Okay. Okay. All right. So can you please let the people know like where they can find you, social medias, anybody or anything you want to shout out, anything?
Yeah. I mean, just shout out to the whole rec
For
community.
sure.
You can find Rec Philly on Instagram at Rec Philly. I'm at Scarlet Estelle on Instagram, Twitter. Those are my two main ones.
Hmm.
But the biggest plug that I got is, again, be kind to yourself and be kind to others. Like, kindness is the new
Nah,
currency.
that's a fact.
Make sure that you are doing an act of kindness for somebody every day, not for the gram, but for yourself. And I promise you, your heart will be a lot more full, and you don't have to wait till Christmas to do it. So do one
That's
good
a
thing for a
fact.
stranger every day.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, y'all heard it here first from the incomparable Miss Scarlet Estelle
Thank
Hernandez.
you.
No, seriously, though, I truly can't thank you enough for coming on the Hollow Talk podcast and just sharing this space of opportunity with me. It's been a long time coming, but we
We
made it
made it.
happen.
We made it
We made it
happen.
happen. Real quick too. This is something that I've done on like a previous podcast that I did before. But today is January 26th, so this is the third anniversary of the passing of the late great Kobe Bryant, which is my
Oh,
favorite athlete of all time, one of my favorite people of all time. In my room, I got Kobe hanging up a couple of different places. They can't see it, but I just want to say shouts out to Kobe Bean, man. Rest in peace,
absolutely.
and Kobe
And
the GOAT, man.
Gigi
Yeah,
and the whole
Gigi, the
family,
whole family,
everybody.
man, and
Yeah,
everybody that's still affected by it to this day. Kobe the GOAT, man. That was my
absolutely.
saying at the end of every episode. Kobe the GOAT. No
Wow.
matter what we talk about, no
Okay,
matter
then
what we talk
we
about.
got to do a Mamba dab then.
All right,
There we go, baby.
you
Forever.
already
Kobe
know.
mentality forever.
For sure. Mamba mentality always and forever. So with that being said, I again want to thank you so much for coming on the Hollow Talk podcast and talking to
Thank you
me
so
and just
much.
sharing this time with me. Like this is a legendary episode. And when the people hear it, they are gonna love it and enjoy it. So thank
I'm
you
so glad.
again.
Thank you.
It's all love from me to you, always and forever. I appreciate you. And I also want to thank the Hollow Talk podcast listeners and supporters for supporting us through and through, supporting me and supporting our guests as well. Shouts out to y'all. And shouts out to the rec team, man. I'm gonna see y'all soon, so
We'll
shouts
see
out
each
to
other
y'all.
tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, and we will definitely be back with some more episodes. So again, thank you to you. And I'm gonna get you out of there. We are signing out. Peace and love,
Peace.
y'all.